What's up, Active Lifers? Welcome to the Active Life Podcast. I'm Dr. Sean. I'm your host. Today's guest is our leadership staff member at the flagship Active Life location in Long Beach, New York, Cody Ringle. He's here from Michigan. He moved out here for the opportunity to help us pursue our mission to professionalize the fitness industry, empower the individual. He's leading a team of highly educated professionals who've been through 13 months plus of immersive education with us at Active Life. And we're going to talk today about what is different about running a facility like an Active Life as compared to running a group fitness facility, of which Cody still has ownership of two that are existing in Michigan right now. One of them is a CrossFit gym. One of them is living in the space between what Active Life is here in Long Beach and what that CrossFit gym is, skewing much closer to the Active Life side. I think you're going to find it fascinating, the nuance of who can get serviced in both, how and why both exist to serve them. Let's get to the show. Cody Ringle, fresh from Michigan. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man.
Not that fresh, right? What is it, like 4 months now?
Three months. I got here end of July, or end of June, rather.
Right. Well, I've very much enjoyed having you here for no other reason to be a buffer between me and Larry on a regular basis. It's almost like there's an adult in the room.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like a mediator.
Well, we have shelves now.
Yeah. Yep. We got shelves in the storage room. We've got things moved out of that other spare room.
Yeah.
Vacuum. We have a vacuum.
We now have a vacuum of our own.
A wet and dry vacuum, by the way.
Right. I mean, you have really you've brought that feminine energy into the space, and I appreciate that.
Thanks. Not sure if I appreciate that, but
you know.
It's called organization.
Got it.
Actually, it's masculine energy because masculine is order and feminine is chaos. So if anything, I'm bringing the masculine energy to the space.
Well, I appreciate
You're welcome.
That. What did you say? This is perfect. This is a great start to the podcast. I don't know what you're talking about. So the reason that I thought it'd be valuable for us to talk today is because we get questions all the time around how is Active Life not physical therapy? How is it not a CrossFit gym? How is it not Fit Body Boot Camp? How is it different than a big box? We really get all the gamut of the questions, which to me speaks to the reality that we need to continue doing a better job speaking about what it is, the kind of results that we can get. Your job is to help make sure that this town of Long Beach experiences that. Not necessarily that they hear it. That's not your job. Your job is people show up at the flagship location at 120 East Park Avenue in Long Beach. We are organized. We are high-touch customer service. People get what we promise to them. And I would love to talk to you today about how we're already doing that before we're even open and how that's going to happen once we're rocking.
Yeah, let's do it.
So how would you describe to somebody what happens in an Active Life that is different than what happens in a traditional gym, whether it's a boutique or big box?
It's a good question. The way that I've been describing it to people right now, one of the things that I believe that we started to do in the beginning that we're learning now as we go through this is we've set this really, like what we believe internally the space to be a year from now. Like we're communicating in the way that we need to communicate about it a year from now. People don't understand that. Like, for example, we're saying we deliver exercise education and mentorship to people who can't get what they need from the healthcare or fitness industry. That always is followed up by, cool, so what does that mean?
All right, so is there a gym in there?
Yes, exactly. So there's confusion because we're describing it in a way that we get, we know, and we believe the end state to be, the vision state. So the way that I'm communicating to people right now is think of it like this. Think of really high-end personal training that works, gets you exactly what you need and only what you need, and it's prescriptive from start to finish.
And then how do you start talking to them about after that, moving into the autonomous space and following the individual program design in a group setting?
We want to get clients to a point where they want us and no longer need us. And what I mean by that is we go from a point of low confidence, and understanding of execution of theirs. Yes.
Yeah.
Their low confidence, and understanding of execution of movement, right? So they come in, they don't know how to perform a single leg RDL, for example. We get them to a point where they can do that every single time. They can do different variations of a deadlift every single time. They can squat, they can press, they can hinge, they can push, they can pull. They can do all of these things without a professional really needing to make major tweaks, modifications to the way that they're moving. because they have such a high level of confidence and competence. At that point in time, we believe clients are in a position where they can continue to work with us and they don't need one-on-one support every single day in the way that somebody who needs personal training every single day does, because they don't understand how to move their body physically through space.
Go on.
So once they're ready for that, we're going to say, hey, look, we want to keep working with you. You want to keep working with us. It makes sense that you start to develop these habits on your own with us there for support. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. When you start to ride a bike, you have someone right there. They're holding on to your back. They're holding on to the handlebars. You have the training wheels. At some point in time, you start to get confident and competent enough that you can ride that bike on your own with the training wheels. This is still a version of personal training. And then at an additional point in time, we start to take the training wheels off and you start to actually ride the bike on your own. You've reached a level of autonomy in bike riding. You still have the parent there. You still have the guardian there. You still have someone there to make sure that if you fall, we have you. We got you. We can support you.
I think that was that actually put some light bulbs off for me, because I just taught my kid how to ride a bike. And the high dependency is for sure, you're holding onto the back of the bike. They're getting started.
Yep.
What was striking about what you just described is I'm picturing where my kid is right now. I have 100% confidence that she can ride her bike safely at all times, provided that there are no variables to the environment.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't need me holding onto her bike. I can ride my bike next to her. She's perfectly safe. I still would not allow her, she's 7, to ride her bike by herself without me or her mom, because I'm not confident that she's always going to see the direction that the car is coming from that she didn't know to look at. I'm not confident that she's going to have the wherewithal to stay in her lane while a car comes up behind her, pay attention to the stoplight in front of her at the same time without panicking and steering into one of them. So what you just described was really good. It was actually really helpful for me. The personal training that they get when they come in is based on the interview process that we take them through and the assessment that they go through to identify how many sessions we believe that they're going to need, just to gain the competence and the confidence to solve the chief problem that they come in with. Whether it's, I want the confidence that I can lose 100 pounds. I want to get off of my diabetes medication. I want to get off my hypertension medication. I want to be able to go on hikes. I want to get out of this knee pain. I want to surf again, and not just on a big board. I want to be able to ride on a smaller board. These are the things people have been telling us. Mm-hmm. There's a level where they need our support holding onto the bike with them. Then they move into the autonomous space, which is where they're going to get a program design written by the professional who's been working with them, that they can do with the coaching of another professional in the room, so they always have the peace of mind that they're doing it right. That is us riding our bike next to the child who we're not worried is going to fall off, but who we are worried is going to cut off a car that maybe doesn't see her coming and gets squished.
Yep.
What happens when that kid gets old enough, in this case, the metaphorical kid, that they don't need mom and dad to ride the bike next to them?
They have options, right? Hey, go out and ride the bike on your own, or you can stay here. We're happy to ride next to you. We're going to continue to support you. We're going to be like, hey, here's the route in which you should ride today. Here's the obstacles to pay attention to. Here's the things that we believe are going to come up for you. We are helping them achieve the goal after the goal, right? So I've learned how to ride the bike with mom and dad's support. I now want to see if I can do this on my own. Great. Let's see how that works. We can do that in the autonomous space. We could do that with individual design. That is because we're not there yet as a facility, the answer is, I'm not entirely sure.
Well, what you're speaking to there, though, is another layer, right? So when I do start letting my kid ride her bike on her own, I'm going to say, take this road to this destination.
Yep.
Which is us providing the program to the client in the space. It's not until she can tell me without me showing her, I'm going to take this road to that destination, that I'm going to feel confident saying, okay, go ahead, do it by yourself, without me telling her how to go. Do you see us getting clients who came in at a highly dependent state to the point where they could go join any gym that they wanted to, or not join a gym and do it at home, and be able to write their own program if they decided to?
Yes, because we value education first. And education is not only, hey, here's how you approach training. Here's what the rules for pain are. Here's the difference between insult, injury, irritation, and pain. But it's also, hey, here's what you need to be doing based on the goals that you have. And here's how you could write your own programming should you want to do that. You should understand our selfish goal, my selfish goal for the clients that we work with at this facility is to get to a point where they understand their bodies so well that they can start to identify, hey, when I do this, this is the level of irritation that I get in my Achilles, for example. When I go running, anything over a mile, it starts to really affect my Achilles. Okay, so what could I do to help rehabilitate, maybe not rehabilitate, but what could I do to solve that problem before it becomes a real problem? Eccentric ankle dorsiflexions, if I'm limited on the backside. Maybe I need to be working some banded ankle distractions. So yeah, we want people to be able to solve the problems for themselves.
Well, what you're speaking to there is today you can't run a mile. If you don't intervene, it'll become you can't run a half a mile, a quarter mile, walk a mile, a half a mile, a quarter mile. And eventually it's, I need to make sure there are benches close by or wear some kind of assisted tool so that my ankle doesn't hurt when I walk. And what we're looking to do is head that off well before it becomes something that is prominent in the mind of the client where they would need to go see a doctor and say, I need intervention right now because I can't live my life. Once it gets to that point, they're not a fit for us. We need someone else to help them, and then they can come to us afterwards. What I find uniquely valuable about your perspective right now is, as we speak right now, you still own 2 gyms in Michigan.
One in Michigan, one in Indiana. Very close.
Same thing.
Let's just go with the Midwest.
Yeah, you own 2 gyms in the Midwest.
Yeah.
One of them has transitioned from being a CrossFit gym to being an active life model. Not active life. It's Fortitude Strength, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
The other one, CrossFit Angola, is still an unapologetic CrossFit gym.
Yes.
So you have the spectrum of 3 different kinds of clients who you're able to serve in your 3 businesses. Can you speak to what you are able to do for people in a CrossFit gym that you are not able to do for people at the flagship that we're about to open? Because I think it's valuable for people to hear that we are aware of both. What we can do for people here that are not going to happen in a CrossFit gym and what's going to happen at Active Life that is not going to happen in a CrossFit gym. I think I said the same thing twice, but you follow.
Yes. My projection is that the type of person who is interested in CrossFit, right, who wants to solve the type of problems that a CrossFit gym, that our CrossFit gym can solve, is the person who's interested in what we'll call evolving their fitness. They already have a base level of competence, right? I can already do some of the stuff. Maybe I was an athlete when I was in high school, or I was an athlete when I was in college, and I want to reclaim that. I want to get back to being that. I want to maximize my physical expression. That maybe we get some of those in Angola, or maybe we get some of those here in Long Beach rather. But more likely what we get is the type of person who feels so far removed from a CrossFit gym, a 24-hour gym. They feel so far removed from the fitness industry as a whole that they don't even feel comfortable walking into that sort of space. At the CrossFit gym, for example, you know what you're going to get for the most part. Like, I know what CrossFit is. If you're going to walk into the gym, you've done some research, you've seen the videos on YouTube, you've looked at the website, you understand that it's compound, it's functional movements performed at relatively high intensity. Okay, what does that mean? Well, we're going to be doing Olympic lifts, we're going to be doing strength training with a barbell, we're going to be doing 21-15-9s, we're going to be doing CrossFit. CrossFit is a training modality that is a sport hidden in a training modality. People who want that, they want to compete with people. They want the energy. They want the group. They want 10, 15, 20 person classes where they can feed off of the energy of the people in the room. They can get some coaching. They value coaching. They value intervention. They value someone telling you, hey, straighten out your back when you pick up that barbell. They're not necessarily in a point where they've exhausted all of the options, or they don't believe that it's a possibility for them to reclaim their fitness, their health, their active life.
Meaning these are people who have some level of confidence before they walk in the door. It's been what your experience is in that gym.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you described it that way, because I've always, as an athlete myself, valued high touch coaching. when I started training mixed martial arts, I wanted a one-on-one coach. I did not want to jump into a room and have some schmuck kick my ass for his ego. When I played baseball, I wanted someone to work with me. When I was in a CrossFit gym that I owned, I wanted to be in a room with 20 people. Mm-hmm. Even I remember, like, I don't remember most of the classes that I took, and I took hundreds, if not thousands I took thousands of classes over 7 years. There's one class in particular that I remember. It was a competitor class, which I don't recommend gyms running unless they run a competitive kind of gym, but there were almost 60 of us, and the energy was insane. Yeah. And the coaching was zero, because it was implied, if you're in this class, you don't need any coaching. And I understand I'm a subset of the market, and that doesn't represent everybody. But I fed off of the energy, and to me, that was the magic of it. You know, the Friday Night Lights events that we used to run, that's where I PR'd my clean. Not in a class with the weightlifting coach. It was in Friday Night Lights, because it was like this energy of all these people around is so much fun. It's so exciting. I want to do well. I want to be proud of myself within my community. And I think that I hadn't really thought about that either until you brought it up. The idea that there might even be a misalignment there between what the gym suggests they offer and what the client who's joining suggests they want. They might not want a ton of coaching. They might want amazing energy. I don't know.
They want to feel safe. Now,
safe is the first thing.
Right. They want to feel safe in the space. They want to feel like you are going to help them progress, right? You're going to make sure that if they're doing something that is wildly outside of, that is going to get them hurt or injured, you're going to help them navigate that. You're going to make the cues, the corrections to improve their technique, move better, right? They want to feel like they're a part of that tribe, that community, that group. They want to feed off the energy. I mean, when I first started my first gym, it was straight up, it was 2015, CrossFit all the way. Like, our goal for everyone that we interacted with was to do a competition at some point in time in their life. Mm-hmm. Didn't matter if they were 40 years old, 50 years old, whatever. Like, hey, you're going to do CrossFit, you're going to love it, and you're going to want to do a competition within the first year. And as soon as that programming gets released, I'm going to help you start to navigate how to execute that programming in the competition and do all of the things. Because there was that energy. There was that ability to PR, to have a great time. Did it work for everybody? No. I mean, you've got the story about the girl who broke both of her wrists.
Dude, should I tell that story?
Have you ever told that story?
Not on the air.
Oh, man. Yeah. You should.
I'll tell it briefly, because it's not the topic we're aiming at, but it is a crazy story. I'm at this event, an in-house event at another CrossFit gym, and this girl is like olive oil from Popeye. That's what she reminds me of, and she's starfishing her power cleans, which, for those of you who don't know what that means, she's jumping her feet out super wide and her elbows are flaring out. She's trying to do whatever she can do to get underneath the bar. It's a ladder. So she hit like 75 pounds, 85 pounds, 95 pounds, whatever the ladder was. She gets to this last barbell. I believe it was 135. I don't remember exactly. If someone was there and they saw it, feel free to, give me hell online. She misses it. She's done. I can tell you she's done. I'm standing right next to her coach. She looks at me. And I'm like, just good job. Yeah. Nodding my head and giving her like the you're knocked out with the hands. Her coach says, no, fuck that. You can do it. I'm like, she shouldn't. She really shouldn't. And so she's like, okay, shakes it out. Gets herself excited. Starfishes the clean. And she's leaning back like she's doing a limbo when she catches the bar. And it just goes from like a lean to a timber. And she falls with her elbows hitting the floor first. Her hands still holding onto the barbell. The barbell breaks both of her wrists, and then for good measure, rolls up her face as she's on the ground crying. This is a full-grown woman. And I remember the medic didn't have splints because he wasn't anticipating people breaking their wrists. And so he had to cut open Fit Aid boxes and turn the boxes into splints. And he medical taped her hand to the boxes, and she walked out like pouting, no longer crying, and they had an ambulance come and pick her up, and she just walked out with Fit Aid boxes and medical tape on her wrists like this as she got into the back of the box. the ambulance, and it was terrible. But what you're describing is that's what people are most afraid of when they come to the gym. They want to have all of that experience right up until the moment that something bad like that happens, and that's where the coach intervenes.
Yep. And, well, kudos to the medic for being so resourceful.
Yeah.
First of all. And this is the outlier. It's not the norm. And
you shouldn't expect that to happen in the gym.
For clarity and for accuracy, we're not shitting on CrossFit.
No, it's just a fun story. I
still own a CrossFit gym. I do CrossFit occasionally here now as I've moved here. But I have similar stories as I look through it's the competition phase that most people struggle with, because I have similar stories. I mean, there was a guy, he was gone for 6 months from my gym in Coldwater. He was gone for 6 months, came back, and it just so happened the first day that he was back was the first open workout. First movement of the open was box jumps. Been 6 months removed, hasn't done a box jump in 6 months, right? He's doing the whole like stepping towards the box and like fidgeting, jumps up on it. Before we start the workout, everything's fine. The 3, 2, 1, go, his very first box jump, misses the box, hits both of his shins, gets 11 stitches in one, 13 stitches in the other. We never saw him again. Understandably.
Is that because he felt like an amateur because he couldn't bang him up equally?
I'm imagining it's because
I'm joking.
Yeah, I'm imagining because he came to us to solve a problem, which was I want to lose 30 pounds, I want to feel better about myself, and he left with stitches in his shins.
Well, okay. So I think that the point being made here is the person who is joining the CrossFit gym is somebody who has a level of confidence, who the owner of that gym would like to see them express themselves in a maximal way, express the maximum level of independence, have that person be completely empowered to feel as though they can do anything in the world, and to prove it in the gym by doing difficult things in a group setting by themselves.
Yep.
With coaching to keep them safe. And speaking from experience, having owned 3 CrossFit gyms and worked out in them myself, there is a lot of magic to that when the right person meets the right gym with the right coach in the right environment.
Yep.
And so good on that. Why can't the people who would walk into Active Life here in Long Beach walk into the CrossFit gym and expect the same problems that they have to be solved?
They're two separate people.
Why?
They're not looking for the same thing.
But I need you to explain to me why, because when we talk to CrossFit gym owners who are still owning CrossFit gyms, they would argue that you're wrong.
The people who are walking into our Active Life facility, they're looking to regain a base level of competence in their execution of movement rather than maximize their expression. They're looking to get, like if we're thinking about this as climbing a mountain, right? The type of person who's interested in CrossFit or F45 or, a traditional group training class, they've started to climb the mountain a little bit. Maybe they've slid back down, but they're still on the mountain. They're still in the game. The type of person that we are talking to right now is so far away from the mountain that it's off in the distance for them. They need someone to walk with them to the base of the mountain and then show them that it's okay to take the first step, and then guide them, be the Sherpa that takes them all the way to the top. And then once they get to the top of that mountain, we're able to look and say, hey, look, what about that mountain over there? Is that interesting to you? Or they say, rather, I want to go climb that mountain. Take me there, show me how to get there. The person who is going to be successful in a group training environment is going to climb the mountain regardless.
Right. They're doing it on their own.
Right.
Even so, I think what's important to understand here is that how is it possible that someone's doing it on their own if they're in a group? And they're doing it on their own because the other person in the equation that we're talking about is not their classmates. It's the person responsible for their success alongside them. It's the coach. And if you're in a room with even just 10 other people, you're talking about getting 6 minutes of that professional coach's attention as compared to getting 60 minutes in a 60-minute session. And that coach thinking about you in between the sessions as compared to that coach thinking about the session in between those sessions because there were too many people to focus on one. Now, who would walk into the Active Life space?
The type of person that we are talking to right now, the type of people who are coming to us, they are at a point where they can do some stuff, right? For example, we've got one guy that we've been talking to on and off. He plays volleyball.
Is this Larry? No. Okay. Jeremy.
Yes. So Jeremy plays volleyball, but after about 3 weeks of volleyball, he has so much shoulder pain that he has to sit out week 4, 5, 6, let it rest until it feels better so that he can show up week 7, maybe feel okay for the game. He's got to serve underhand because he can't go overhand. His shoulder hurts so bad when he does that. And he's limited from living the life that he wants to live.
Let me have you stop there for a second, because this is where my expertise has to come in. I need to talk about why that's not a physical therapy patient.
Okay.
The reason why someone like this person is not a physical therapy patient for this problem is because, generally speaking, and there will be specific examples out there who do not match this criteria, that's always the case. Generally speaking, the physical therapy marketplace is going to say to this person, you're overdoing it. You just need to do less. So if you take the 3 days a week, or the 3 days in a row that you're playing, or the 3 weeks in a row that you're playing, and let's say you're playing 2 hours each of those weeks, if you played 1 hour each of those weeks, you wouldn't have to miss the 3 weeks afterwards. You could do 1 hour a week. You can't handle 2. And they might be right, given his current condition. But what he's dealing with would not be covered by health insurance. It would not be something that they could emulate in the physical therapy clinic. That physical therapist would have to put their coach hat on, fatigue this client, and then identify where breakdown happens at fatigue, which is into the scope of a strength coach and not a physical therapist. A physical therapist may learn that stuff, but it would not be covered by their malpractice. And it would not be something that they were doing towards an activity of daily living. It would be something that they were doing towards somebody's personal interest. They would need additional education, and there are physical therapists who have it. No pissing on them either. It's not reasonable for Jeremy to have to go find that physical therapist and understand that they're now going to service him as a coach.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we going to do for that person that is different than what he would experience, for example, in a group gym or even with a personal trainer?
Well, what we're going to do more specifically is take them through a phase of assessment, right? We're going to identify, is this a flexibility, mobility? Is this a strength issue? Is this a life outside of the gym? What's your sleep, work to rest? What's all of those things look like? We want to create a more complete picture of what this person's life looks like and what their abilities look like, rather than just being like, hey, when you reach overhead, that's where you have problems. So we're only going to focus on this pattern. We want to take the complete picture of the athlete, the individual, the client, and then create a prescriptive approach to solving that problem. So we meet them where they're at. We identify, all right, here's the things that we believe after this initial assessment are holding you back. We work through those things one-on-one. We have all of the education. By the education, I mean helping them understand how injury happens. It's not just, hey, stop doing that, or you get hurt when you do too much volleyball. Go do less volleyball. Okay, what does that really mean? Well, what is that?
Less?
How much less, right? But not only that, what does that look like? Like somebody, the type of people that we have, they're typically high performers, right? They might own their own business, which you and I know comes with an additional layer of stress as far as the stress diet sleep box looks like. That thing's big and it's variable. What does it look like today when we don't have a ton of things on the calendar versus what does it look like on Thursday when we have a big team meeting, when we have clients with consultations, when you're going to somewhere else, when you're going to a commercial gym.
When someone has a problem.
Right. So what is the client's stress diet sleep boxes look like? What do all of these factors look like, and how do we help them stay under that line? But not only how do we help them do it, how do we educate them to understand when they're starting to brush up against that capacity line?
Yeah. See, I think in the perfect world, there would be a rehab clinic, an active life gym, a group training model, and a big box gym right next to each other on the same street. And we would all respect the acumen of each other and the scope of each other. And when someone walked into one, we would be able to say clearly, this is for you, or this is not, and that one is. Because then what happens is the group training gym, be that a CrossFit, an F45, an Orange Theory, whoever, a boutique, they're forced to do an excellent job. Because everyone who comes to them understands, okay, well, this is, I've been told, you're going to be able to give me a fun, exciting environment where I can get a good workout and stay safe. That's what that stuff does. Yes. As soon as it's not safe, as soon as it's not fun, as soon as it's dirty, as soon as it's not exciting, that gym has broken its promise to the clientele. And the other three can't make referrals anymore.
Sure.
The big box gym, similarly, needs to stay clean. It needs to have working equipment that is in place so that people don't need to go looking for the dumbbells somewhere. So they don't need to worry about, I got to wipe off the sweat from the guy who used this before me. There's no out of order sign on the equipment. Great. That's what the big box gym has to consistently do. That's it. And be open. Their model is convenience. Mm-hmm. The physical therapy clinic, the rehab clinic, whether it's physical therapy, chiropractic, doesn't matter. They need to be saying to people, look, our job is to create an environment for you where you are a candidate to go into that active life. Because right now, you're too messed up to go in there. You're too acute. You're too physically unstable, not mentally unstable, physically unstable. Mm-hmm. Exercise could cause significant and immediate injury. We need to rehab this, whether that's because they're post-surgical, they just had the injury, or it's a recurring injury that is physically unstable, neurological, all these things. They need to go to the rehab clinic. Once that's resolved, they're not necessarily ready to go running a mile. That's when they come to active life. And it would be amazing if we had all 4 of these on the same block. Maybe we'll just open 4 of them. I'll go back and get my license again. Open a rehab clinic, put it next to the active life, renew my level 1 if they'll let me go. Probably not. I've heard them in a black notebook. And then open a commercial gym next door, or ask Don Murphy from Gold's Gym to do it with us. And we'll just, boom, we'll collaborate. It'd be great.
That would be the only limitation that I see of that potential scenario without you or us owning all 4 of those is the mindset of the ownership within those things. Right? Because what I can speak to from my experience as a young CrossFit affiliate owner in 2015, 2016, was I believed that I could solve problems that I had no fucking business trying to solve.
Like what?
For people. Oh, for example, let's say that I'm a client. I've come to you. I've been through a couple rounds of physical therapy. I really might need to get a second opinion and potentially look at surgery. And then I come in and I say, well, it hurts every day when I do stuff. So, but I need to exercise. I think that's what's going to help make it better. And for me, having nothing outside of the CrossFit level 1, I'm like, well, you just need to squat more. You need to deadlift more. Maybe I need to teach you how to clean. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. But we need to do a muscle clean first, right? So there's still a progression to it. But it was those sorts of things. It was not, I didn't even understand where my lane was. Mm-hmm. So it was every single person that had any problem related to physical exercise. I was like, I don't know. Let's give it a shot.
You said earlier that we've been trying to speak in future talk as compared to speaking in now talk. What do you mean when you say that?
I mean, going all the way to like when people ask us, what do we do? Mm-hmm. Education, exercise, and mentorship for people who feel like they can't get what they want and need from the healthcare or fitness industry.
What's the now talk?
The now talk is much closer to high end, high touch point personal training.
So how do I hear that. Now, what, and this is an open discussion for those of you listening. This is something that you and I have been talking about in every open moment. How do we discuss this? How do we package it? What do we... Here's the conundrum that we face. One of our core values is personal commitment. Can you expand on what that means to the client before we go into why this is important?
Personal commitment is simply the promise that you make to yourself and the action required to keep it.
So what we believe is this. Let's say that you're coming in and you're like, I want to lose 100 pounds. I have knee pain and I want to get off diabetic medication. Great. We have 3 things that we need to help you do. Get out of knee pain, lose 100 pounds, get off diabetic medication. We can promise all 3 of those things if you promise personal commitment and keep it. That won't happen in a month.
Sure.
It won't happen in 3. It probably won't happen in 6, and it might not happen in 12. But you will be on your way. Undeniably so. in each of those time frames. If somebody quits because the speed with which they are moving is not fast enough for them, because either A, they lack the understanding of how results in this kind of a space compound, right, the exponent value of it, or because something happened in their life and financially it's a problem, or whatever happens in between, then what we run the risk of is they signed up, we made them a promise, and we didn't keep it. Because 3 months later, they were no longer a client. 6 months later, they were no longer a client. We hadn't gotten them to their goal yet, which we never told them that we would. But their perception was it was never going to happen. And now they're out in the marketplace telling people we didn't do it. We would like people to make an annual commitment. But the difficult thing is, it's a new model they've never seen before. It's an education to the professional that they didn't even know professionals didn't have. Right? They didn't know that to become a personal trainer, you needed a high school degree and a few hours of a certification course. Mm-hmm. And that our professionals go through that life experience in the gym and then 13 months of mentored immersive education with us that a lot of people don't finish because they wash out. Mm-hmm. How do we start to talk to people in a way that has them compelled to believe and understand this is not a quick thing? I am committing for 12 to 24 months to myself, even if I don't pay for it.
When
I say don't pay for it, I mean upfront.
Sure. What I continue to go back to is there's two types of coaches, and we're going to use the term coaches as the placeholder for now. Right? Professionals, anything, business owners, whatever. There's all right answers and there's all right questions. So for me to say, hey, this is exactly how long it's going to take. It's going to take 12 months. I don't fucking know. I'm making it up. I'm deciding, based on my experience, I think we could get there around this point in time. So what I want to do rather is ask the client, what does success look like to you? How are we going to know that we're getting there? Let's say 3 months from now. Here's what I believe to be true. You're going to incur some sort of a setback within the first 3 months. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that that's possible?
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you like to do when you encroach a setback? What have you done in the past? Has that been evidence for you that this is not really achievable, attainable to me? Yeah. Have you ever had anybody there to support you the entire way through that setback? Mm-hmm. Have you had somebody who said, hey, look, this is going to happen to you, and we are going to be here to support you through that? Would that be valuable to you? Would that be helpful to you? Forget the word valuable. Would it be helpful to you? Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. So what would you like to do when you hit that setback? How would you like me to support you? How would you like the professional to support you?
I don't know. Like, if I'm a client, I might not know the answer to that question. I don't know how I want to be supported in a time I've never been supported before. Okay. Are you open to us trying things as we encroach, if we hit that point? See, I think there we need to hold the seat of authority, calm, and confidence, where we can tell them, like, look, we're going to ask you when we get there, let us know if what we're doing is causing you any kind of mental concern. Because we can scale back, we can push forward. We are going to be as conservative with your health as we believe is necessary during that setback, and including making a referral to a medical professional if necessary. Mm-hmm. What's important is that you understand a setback is going to happen. And in the past, you may have used that setback as a reason to stop, as a sign this isn't going to work, as confirmation that you can't do it. If nothing else, the value that we're going to serve to you is the awareness that you have to experience a setback and go through it in order for this to have worked. Mm-hmm. So we didn't achieve success until we had a setback that you persevered through. Is that reasonable? Yeah. That I think if we can talk to people like that, they will understand that we understand their problem greater than they can describe their problem, and then they will believe that we have the solution for them, which we do. That's fair. Why can't that happen in a group environment? Scale, time, availability, right? But what if that person wants to buy personal training? Can't that now be something that we do in the group environment?
so many factors that are now outside of the control of you or the professional.
What do you mean?
Like in a group environment, for example, the programming is written for you, right? It's not customized. It's not tailored to you.
But I'm saying that person now bought personal training in the group environment.
Like in our space?
No, at CrossFit New York.
I can't see how you're going to do personal training in a group environment. You can do personal training in a facility that offers group.
That's what I mean.
Okay. So what you're doing there is you're doing something that is not their best stuff. It's not their best stuff because it's not what they practice all of the time.
If I'm understanding you correctly, what you're describing is it's not the position that the coach in that gym plays on a full-time basis.
It's probably not what they want. Like nobody starts coaching at a CrossFit gym to do personal training. Right. They end up doing personal training in a CrossFit gym because they can't make money only doing CrossFit training or being a CrossFit coach. That's the way, I mean, maybe there's some gyms out there and I haven't found them yet, but it's very difficult to have 3 or 4 coaches on staff who are making a full-time living, $50,000 or more within your facility, only coaching group classes.
You all now have the evidence that Cody just got to New York, $50,000 or more.
Dude, that's like
tough.
So the Midwest, as my prime example, you're making a decent living there,
right?
At $50K. Because the market where I'm from, 40 is median household income, 48 is the other median household income. So to be a professional, you have to take on other things. And all those other things do is they now become, they're not the thing that I'm known for. They're the thing that I also do, right? This is where we started to fail at Fortitude Strength, and where I've talked about this before, like we got caught in the middle because we were a CrossFit gym that started doing individual design, started doing personal training, actually started a hybrid class. And those became the things that we also did in conjunction with CrossFit. And all of that stretch and that pull confused the shit out of people because they're like, okay, so am I going to come here for a group training environment? I come here to solve my specific problem. And then the professionals on the floor had to change gears so hard because it's different energy. Like if I'm solving individual problems for a person, I'm writing personal training, I'm doing individual design, and now I start to believe in that because I start to see that it works. I start to see that this is the way to really help people.
Faster, more consistently.
And if it's more effective, right? And now I've got to go into the group class at noon because that's always what we've offered. And I have to watch 6 of the 10 people scale the workout so that they can just get through it. Not in any way, shape, or form improve their fitness, advance, or thrive. They just get through another workout because that's what they've always done. And now I no longer believe in what I'm offering. We're doing this thing on the side that is really making the majority of my income. And to be honest, I'd rather do that, but that's not who we are. So now I have to make concessions because it's not CrossFit or it's not F45 or it's not whatever the thing is.
I think first of all, I think you said that beautifully. The other element there is the marketplace, the person who hasn't joined yet. Even if you can do that really well in that space, doesn't believe that you can.
No, because they're going to walk in and they're going to see a rig, they're going to see ropes, they're going to see high rings, and they're going to be like, oh, this is a CrossFit gym.
Even if they don't say it's a CrossFit gym, they might not know what CrossFit is. I think they're going to walk in and say, this is not for me. And they don't even need to walk in. They look on the website and they're seeing people lifting heavy weights, which this is where I run into a little bit of, I understand what people who still own and operate CrossFit gyms and boutique gyms are saying when they're like, if they would just give us a shot. There are people who have no orthopedic issues, who are overweight, who have some medications that they are on, who, if they would go into a well-run group fitness facility, would get the results that they're looking for.
Yes.
And those group fitness facilities who are well-run, who are doing the job well, absolutely can make the claim that they would be able to do that for the person without orthopedic issues, without any social, emotional issues, who doesn't need that kind of one-on-one attention. And there are plenty of those people, and they're the ones who we see, they're the outliers, but they're the ones who we see in testimonial videos and in documentary series and things like that.
Yeah.
We have the ambition of that being the primary client.
Yes.
And we wouldn't make the testimonial video about the athlete who ended up going to the Olympics because they came to us for individual program design and support. All that aside, the key to that conversation is if they come in.
Right.
And when we talk to people who own group gyms and you ask them, do you have people like that? They say, yeah, of course. Are most of your people like that? No. How long have you been open? 11 years. Why is it that only 5% of your members are the people who you can have the largest life change to? Is it not reasonable to believe that if you've helped one of those people, they go back to their community and someone else like them comes in too? Now, 2 of them, 3 of them, it becomes a thing. Oh, this is where we go to get out of this prison state that we are in of unhealthiness. I think that it's reasonable to suggest that if there was a level of consistency of success helping that person with that problem, that person would inundate your business and you wouldn't be able to handle the amount of volume that came in that looked that way. And it hasn't happened.
Right. So why?
Well, why? Because the solution isn't customized for them. And they understand that their need is to have a customized solution because they've tried so many other things and they haven't worked. And even a customized solution for them is oftentimes going to be a bridge to cross. The belief that I can do this. Mm-hmm. So that is something that, for those of you listening, that is something that we are absolutely also struggling with at our flagship. We anticipate things get much easier after 10 people have gotten their results, and even easier after 20. And the most difficult thing once we've gotten to 50 is going to be slowing it down. That's my honest belief. And we're in this for the long haul.
Well, people want to see people being successful in doing a thing, right? The people who maybe had the 100 pounds of weight loss, they likely came from a referral from somebody who was already a client.
Yep.
They said, hey, look, I realize that this is really difficult and it's hard, but this is the place for you. And they trusted that person enough to take the leap. And then they came into your facility. You probably gave them more support than you give the average person who walks into your facility. Mm-hmm. And you did your best to customize it in the constraints that you had within how you operate your business. And they were able to be successful. And that led them to want to help other people or show that to other people like, hey, look, it is possible here.
That's the positive social influence core value.
Right. So for us looking here, and we're going to have people on different spectrums, right? They're going to be the Jeremys who goes and plays volleyball. We're also talking to somebody who's been in a wheelchair for 20 years because she has multiple sclerosis. She can get up and out of the wheelchair for 5 to 10 minutes a day, and then she's totally gassed and exhausted. So how do we help that person who the healthcare industry really has no answer for, right? She's going to have good days. She's going to have bad days. We understand that. But our obligation to that type of person, she can't walk into the 24-hour gym down the road, or she can't go into that and get a solution for her problem. She can't go into the CrossFit gym and take a group fitness class and get a solution for her problem.
Well, and she can go in, to give them some credit, she can go into some of them and get personal training for the solution to her problem.
Sure.
The issue that they run into is they only have so much time and availability for people like that to be coming in and getting that kind of help. We want to be the place where that's the primary client.
Yes.
Not someone who has MS in a wheelchair who's 80 years old, who hasn't been out of their house in 20 years. The person who is missing the opportunity to live a part of their life, who needs professional, highly educated, very high touch support to access it. We want all of our clients to be that. And the group fitness gym does not have the bandwidth for it. We didn't really touch on this, but I'll touch on it quickly. Maybe we can do a follow-up podcast because we're out of time here. The reason why the personal trainer is generally going to struggle to do this for people the way that we are doing it in the space is because there is no ability in most cases to release that person from dependency one-on-one coaching to the autonomous, I'll ride my bike next to you, to the independent, you can do it on your own. It's not that it's not possible. It's that it's unlikely. It's very difficult. Most big box gyms are not set up to do that for people. And that's what we're also working on fixing that.
Yep.
Cody, we'll do another one. We'll do a follow-up.
Sounds good.
Turn pro. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Active Life Podcast. Please remember, give us a hand, rate it, review it wherever you listen to shows. We are on a mission to humanize the healthcare industry by professionalizing the fitness industry to empower the individual to live a life unlimited by the way that their body looks, feels, or performs. If you are inspired by that mission and want to jump on the wagon, find us anywhere Active Life Professional on Instagram, Active Life RX on Instagram. Come to me personally at Dr. Sean Pastuch. We want to welcome you onto the train. We want you to be a part of the mission. We want to offer you the opportunity to pursue this right alongside us. We're inspired by your effort, and we hope to help you in your journey. Turn it over.